For the 48th problem on the second ACT practice test, two numbers are reciprocals if their product is equal to 1. If x and y are reciprocals and x is bigger than 1, then y must be what? So let's first look at the concept of a reciprocal. And that might be easiest if we first just look at a few different examples. So let's look at reciprocal examples. So let's first just pick a number. Let's say we have the number 3. Then the reciprocal of 3, what we're essentially going to do is first let's turn it into a fraction. We can make it 3 over 1. And by finding its reciprocal, all we're essentially going to do is just flip this fraction upside down. So the reciprocal of 3 would be 1/3. And let's say we pick some other number like 5 halves. And we want to find this reciprocal. So again, all you're really going to do is just flip this number upside down. So the reciprocal of 5 halves would be 2/5. And as one final example, let's say we have the fraction 3/7. Then this reciprocal, what we would do is again just flip it upside down so that we get 7/3. So finding the reciprocal of a number, all you're essentially doing is just flipping that number upside down. And if it's a whole number to start, like 8, all you have to do is divide it by 1 to turn it into a fraction, and then to find its reciprocal, flip it upside down to make it 1/8. So with this in mind, now let's go back to our problem. We're told that x and y are reciprocals. And the definition of a reciprocal is that their product is equal to 1. So if you were to go back to any of these 4 examples here, and you multiply the number by its reciprocal, what you'll see is you'll always get back the number 1. So for instance, 5 halves times 2/5, if we were to actually multiply these together, you'd get 10 in the numerator and 10 in the denominator, and 10 divided by 10 is 1. So this would actually happen with all of these examples, or in general with any number and its reciprocal. So if x and y are reciprocals, so we know that x times y is equal to 1 since they're reciprocals, and x is bigger than 1. So we have to figure out what y would be. And if you just look at our examples, where in this case, and this case, we started with a number that was bigger than 1. And then looking at its reciprocal, we can see that it's always a number less than 1, but it's still a number greater than 0. Like when you take a number's reciprocal that started as a positive number, you never get back a negative reciprocal, because all you're doing is flipping the fraction. So if it didn't have a negative sign to start, then it wouldn't have one to finish. And for the only number we started with that was less than 1 and between 1 and 0, when we took its reciprocal, we got a number greater than 1. So you can conclude just looking at these examples that our y value is going to be between 0 and 1. But another way to prove that is to just solve this equation for y. So y would be equal to 1 divided by x if we divide each side of this equation by x. And since x is bigger than 1, we're going to have a fraction where we have a numerator of 1 and a denominator that's bigger than 1. So that means that this number here can never be greater than 1, since our denominator is always bigger than our numerator. So we can conclude that choice letter J would be the final answer, since y would always be between 0 and 1.